Hey, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast, your weekly dose of fertility wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, and integrative fertility coach. This is your go-to podcast for all things to naturally nourish your fertility, embody womb healing, and reclaim your feminine power to accelerate your path to pregnancy. My expert guests and I will be having intentional conversations to discuss the many facets of a thriving, fertile foundation, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as women on our journey to motherhood. So let's dive in, shall we? Hello and welcome to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. I am so excited to have you back and listening. If you're a new listener, welcome, welcome. You are in the right place, especially if you are in a season of trying to conceive. Whether you're just starting your journey, or maybe you've been on this journey for months or years, maybe you are trying to conceive your second, third, fourth, and beyond child. Wherever you are, welcome. You are in the right place to support and nourish your fertility. So in this episode, I'm feeling called to share about something that I shared to my Instagram stories. And by the way, if you're not following me yet, my Instagram link is going to be down in the show notes, or you can find me at the_wellness_pharmacist. Follow along. Anyway, I had shared in my stories about the 80-20 rule. And if it's something that you follow, or if it's a concept that you're new to, or maybe you're someone where it's just, no, I go all in or I don't go in at all, go big or go home. Everyone is in their own space when it comes to this. And I like to lead by example with what I share and how I encourage my clients as well. And one of those ways includes the 80-20 rule, or sometimes I do strive for more like 90-10, but it honestly, it probably is between 80-20 to 90-10 for me. And that's just because I feel best when I am focusing on my health. I digress. So the post was, I was at work. I have a part-time job that I really, really love. It just helps get me out of the house and do something different and help patients in a different way. And I had a Dunkin' Donut gift card that had been floating around for a while because honestly, I don't really love Dunkin' Donuts coffee. No offense. I used to when I was younger, but it's just not the same flavor that I look for in coffee anymore. And it was a cold day. It was a slow day. I work with a few coworkers at a time, and I wanted to treat them. So I got myself a latte, no added sugars. I just get whole milk. I don't do oat milk. I don't like oat milk. I don't recommend it to my clients. And I treated them. And I did not guilt myself for 1 second about it. I did not fret about XYZ and what it could do to my health. I just enjoyed it. And I was happy to treat them and just have a warm beverage. So in what I shared about my post is 80-20 is when 80% of the time you are focused on things that are going to bring you health and vitality, and 20% of the time you're maybe not so focused on the health aspect. You're just enjoying, right? Maybe you're treating yourself or having things that you don't typically have. So let's just say Thanksgiving, right? Maybe you don't normally do sweets. I don't normally do sweets. I don't like sweet food anymore. My palate has changed, but I will have a little slice of pie and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm not going to worry about it. So yeah, health forward 80% of the time, just enjoying life 20% of the time. And what I like to ground my clients in, because if you grew up with a diet that wasn't the greatest for you, and maybe you just don't even know better, and you come in to this fertility world and you learn, oh my gosh, I have to make all of these changes. It can sometimes feel so overwhelming for people that they will not even do it. Your subconscious mind will just shut it down. Like, this is not safe. This is not what we're used to. This is way too much. Shut it down. And I think when you can reassure someone like, hey, we're not striving for perfection here. We are just striving to make better choices for the majority of the time. So 80% of the time, and to not beat yourself up and guilt trip and shame yourself for that 20% of the time. Because mark my words, if you are stressing about it that 20% of the time, or maybe more or less, that stress is triggering cascades of hormonal imbalance in your body, and that is going to have a greater negative impact on your fertility than treating yourself to a Dunkin' Donut coffee or whatever it may be. So one of the other things that I highlighted in there was we have best, better, and okay options. So 80% of the time, right? We want to focus on those best options. And in that 20%, ideally, we want to strive for better, more so than just okay. So one example that I gave was when I ordered my coffee, I go for the small size that they have because caffeine is a factor. I just got a latte. So a latte is basically, I think it's espresso with milk. I used whole milk. I know it's conventional dairy, which I do try to steer away from. I try to focus on grass-fed, pasture-raised dairy. It is what it is. So that's maybe one of those okay options. And I don't add any flavorings. I don't add any additional sugar. So in my mind, that's making a better choice versus an okay choice. If you want some sugar in it, we'll go over some ways that you can support your body in not having unregulated blood sugar afterwards. And then also, I know that those cups are lined with BPA, and even if they're BPA free, there's some sort of chemicals on them. I know this. I don't really like drinking out of cups like that. But what I did do is I had my reusable Yeti coffee mug at work. So as soon as I got the coffee, I poured it in here. I mean, I know anything that was probably going to leach into it already did at least a little bit because of the temperature of the coffee. When you heat things up, chemicals are going to leach. I know that. But instead of drinking out of it for the entire time and drinking from the plastic lid, I put it in here. And to me, that was a better choice. And I did eat before I had the caffeine. So that is another way that you can support your body and your hormones by eating before you have any caffeine. If you like your coffee a little bit sweeter, I personally don't, but maybe you do, highly recommend also having a really nourishing meal before you decide to have that coffee with maybe the sweetener, the flavors, and maybe before you have that cookie or that piece of pie or that brownie, you want to eat a nourishing meal, including protein and healthy fats and complex carbs. And this is going to help regulate and stabilize your blood sugar. Because if I were to drink a coffee with or without sugar in it, without eating, it messes up my blood sugar. I can feel it. Like after I would finish the coffee, I will feel the need to eat something, and that's my blood sugar struggling. So if you're having a coffee with sugar on an empty stomach, your blood sugar is going to go up and it's going to crash, and you're going to get the hangriness. You're going to probably reach for food choices that are not great for you. So this is how we can intentionally make food choices and be able to enjoy things, but still being able to intentionally support our body, our hormones. Okay. So I feel like this is just a beautiful way to be aware, make conscious choices within your lifestyle, within your diet, being intentional, but also taking that pressure off of needing to eat perfectly every single day, because there's actually a term for that, orthorexia, when you are so rigid and inflexible with your diet. It's actually like a health condition. And like I mentioned earlier, that is just going to send a lot of stress signals to the body. You are trying to make healthy choices, but it is almost so much so that it is actually causing unnecessary stress on the body. So that's where this 80-20 rule, 90-10, whatever feels good to you, can come into play and just help give a little flexibility within your lifestyle and your diet. So another example, I've been working with some new clients and they're just absolutely amazing. Everything that we're going through in the program, they're just putting into action. And one of the things is supporting our sleep, our circadian rhythm. And they purchased the blue light blocking glasses. And when we were talking the other day, they were like, oh, we're still watching our shows and this and that. And I just reassured them, listen, it's okay. I understand that staying up late watching shows together is not the best way to support your hormones, but if it's happening every once in a while, but you are making an intentional better choice of wearing the blue light blocking glasses, then that is great. It's better than not. And just having that informed consent and that awareness that, hey, I can't stay up until 11 midnight binging on shows every single night, because that's really going to be bad for my hormones, for my health, for my fertility. But if I'm playing by this 80-20 rule, 90-10, and I'm just allowing ourselves to maybe have a fun night where we just are really, really sucked into this season of some show and you want to stay up with your partner and watch one more show, right? Just allowing it and letting it be, and not thinking that just because you did that one thing, that's why you didn't get pregnant, because that's not true. It's things that you do collectively. What are the things that you're doing the majority of the time? That is what matters. So that is where the 80-20 comes in. And some other things too that I actually share in my fast track fertility formula is making better or best choices for the things that you are doing every day. And I don't know why I'm using coffee as an example. It just seems to be an easy thing to use because I feel like most people like coffee. If you are going to Dunkin' or going to Starbucks and getting any sort of coffee every day, right? I'm pretty sure they're not organic. They're coming in those lined cups, plastic lids, flavorings, sugar, sweeteners, whatever it may be. That is where, okay, this is something you're doing daily. This is something we should shift. How can we make the coffee at home to be able to use organic coffee, filtered water, better sweetener alternatives? But if it's something where let's, as an example, you go on a little coffee date with your friend or your sister or whoever once a month, I'm not worried about that. It's the things that we're doing day in and day out. And that is what you want to be able to shift to at least a better, if not the best choice possible. That is going to have the greatest impact on your fertility. And I want to just share a little just success story with my clients. They came to me, their diet needed some help. They were going to fast food places regularly, frozen pizzas, and then eating that as leftovers for lunch. The woman sometimes was getting so carried away with work that she wasn't eating until 11 o'clock in the morning. Maybe sometimes lunches got pushed back because she would just get so busy with work. We began to really dive into their nutrition. I shared my fertility reboot diet with them, which is part of our 4-step fertility program. And it has been about 1 week. And she is already feeling amazing, just seeing so many positive shifts in her energy, in her mood, and now she's having daily bowel movements where it used to be maybe she'd have a bowel movement every other day, every 2 to 3 days. She wasn't having the ideal type of bowel movement either. And anxiousness, anxiety, low mood, all of those things were things that she was struggling before we started working together. And now she is within the week leading up to her period, and she's like, I don't even have any PMS symptoms right now. And this is 1 week implementing pretty easy and simple dietary changes and prioritizing protein and making sure that you're eating within an hour of waking and prioritizing fruits and vegetables and organic and all of this. And they're already seeing such positive shifts in 1 week. Imagine the snowball effect after 2 weeks, after a month, after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And it's almost like this reminder, wow, I just completely forgot that this is how I should be eating. But now that I'm doing it, I feel amazing, and I can't imagine not doing it at this point. And not to mention, it has fostered more creativity. They're cooking together. So it's nourishing their relationship, giving them something to focus on other than fertility. Hey, babe, what can we cook tonight? We have this, this, and this. What would be really cool to make from these things that we have available in our fridge? I know that that is something that my husband and I enjoy so much. He does all the cooking. He is the master chef, but I will tell you that I will come up with ideas and he will make them, and they are delicious. He always cooks for his coworkers at work, and he was doing a soup and sandwich day for them. And I'm like, listen, I think he was doing grilled cheese. You have to make the delicata squash grilled cheese. And he wasn't going to do it. So basically, it's grilled cheese. So all the bread is homemade. He makes sourdough, does a variety of different cheeses. Gruyere maybe is one that he used. And then we slice and bake delicata squash. And you put the slices on the grilled cheese. It is delicious. It may sound weird, but everyone loved it. So it's just getting creative. And another random example, we had pulled pork one day and Brussels sprouts. And I was like, hey, what about making a pulled pork and Brussels sprout quesadilla? Might sound weird, but it was delicious. So there's just so many ways that we can honor our journeys, our fertility, our health, while still giving ourselves space and flexibility and room to have some of those comfort foods that aren't the best for you, or going out for that girls' date and having that cup of coffee, or maybe even having that glass of dry red wine. It's allowing ourselves to be and to live and just not be in this fertility only focused mindset, because that is just going to burn your engines out, burn your fire out, your fertility. And and put added stress on your body. So I hope that this was helpful. And I also wanted to share another opportunity. I'm glad that I thought about this. I almost forgot. I am going to try something new this year for the podcast. So, not entirely sure what I'm going to call it yet, but basically something along the lines of your fertility in review or something like that, where I will be taking a select few people, looking at your history, looking at any past labs or tests that you have for both partners, and everything will be anonymous, and I will be reviewing everything and then basically coming on to the podcast solo and going over what I'm seeing and giving my thoughts and giving general recommendations. So yeah, I just really want to be able to help anyone who's listening and also give a different type of episode where maybe you can resonate with something that is going on with someone else's fertility, right? Because there are a lot of common factors that women and couples are struggling with. Maybe it's insulin resistance, maybe it's hypothyroidism. Maybe it's male factor infertility, and there's a lot of common threads. Of course, we are all unique individuals and need to be treated and looked at in that manner. But I think that this is going to be fun and insightful. So if you are someone who is interested in doing that, I'm actually going to put a form in the show notes. You just fill out the form, let me know that you are interested, and I will be in touch. I'm thinking I might do one a month, maybe more. We'll have to see how it goes. But right now, I'm just thinking one a month. And yeah, if you're interested, fill out the form. If you have any questions, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. My handle is in the show notes. And I am so excited for you. I hope your January is just going splendidly. And if you set any intentions for the new year, I hope that those are just feeling really aligned, and I'm so excited for them to come into fruition for you. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.